As parents, we want the best for our kids. But did you know that the way we communicate with them can make all the difference in their teenage years? So instead of correcting teenagers, we should try to connect with them first. When they feel understood, they are more open to correction. So if we correct them without building a connection, they might become defensive and argumentative. Imagine if your boss constantly corrects you at work the whole day. You would likely lose confidence, feeling like you're always doing something wrong. Similarly, with teenagers, instead of constantly judging and correcting them all the time, we should build a connection first. When correcting, we can say it's okay to make mistakes. Maybe I didn't teach you, maybe I didn't teach you properly. Sorry about that. Let me show you a better way, and I'm sure you will do well. So, like that, we can talk to them. Hi, I'm Damini. Welcome to my channel, Nurture Nest. So, let's unlock the secrets of the teenage brain today with me, where science meets real life. Skipping this video might leave you clueless about the teens. So, don't miss out. Watch till the end to get the full picture. As a parent, it's time to shift from giving orders to guiding your child. Be humble and listen to them. Kids who have a good relationship with their parents tend to do better in their teenage years. But if you have only been telling them what to do, they might push back when they are older. Instead of ordering them around, try to understand what they are saying. This will help you guide them better through the challenges of growing up. Sometimes we are unable to convey our true feelings to our kids. As parents, we need to express our hearts through our words. However, we often fail to do so when we focus on our anger instead of connecting with them on a deeper level. So, the kind of heart we want our kids to have, we need to model and impart to them. We should also explain to them why we are asking them to behave in a certain way. Instead of just focusing on behavior, we need to focus on developing the right mindset. Because a changed mindset will naturally lead to changed behavior. For example, if a teenager doesn't want to write and avoids it, instead of forcing them to write, we should explain how writing benefits their brain development and the science behind it. We can also discuss how excessive use of iPads and keyboards can be detrimental to their brains and why it's essential for them to write by hand, holding a pen and writing on a paper. We can explain to teenagers when we write, we are using multiple parts of our brain at the same time. So, this helps improve our memory, concentration, and creativity. This is how we can explain to them the benefits of writing. But arguing and forcing teenagers to do something makes things worse. As kids grow up, their adolescence starts and things change. They might not listen to you like they used to, and they might question your authority. So as kids grow and develop, their brains are wired to question and seek answers. They want to know the why behind every request and rule. If you don't provide them with logical explanations and reasons, they may become resistant and less likely to follow directions. So, by taking the time to explain the reason behind our expectations, we can help kids develop critical thinking skills, we can help them build trust, and encourage them to make informed decisions. And this approach can lead to more positive interactions and a stronger relationship between teenagers and parents. And your teenagers start listening and obey you. As a parent, it's also essential to understand what your child is going through during puberty. This knowledge will help you guide them and build a stronger relationship. During puberty, kids undergo significant physical changes such as in girls, menstruation in girls, growth spurts, and the development of body hair. Now, these are the changes that are visible, but what about the internal changes which are not visible? So, it's equally important for parents to understand and address the internal changes happening in the teenager's brain, which can be less apparent. So, during puberty, the part of the brain responsible for thinking and decision making is still developing. This means teenagers might react more on emotions than logic. So, why teenagers behave differently? Because of this brain development, teenagers might seem like they are not listening, and they get irritated easily, or they exhibit behaviors they never showed before. So, it's essential to understand that they are not trying to be difficult. Purposely, they are not doing that. Their brain is just still learning. They are still into the learning process. So, one more important thing I want to explain regarding teenagers' brain. The brain has two parts, amygdala and prefrontal cortex. The amygdala is the emotional center. The amygdala is a part of the brain that processes emotions, especially fear and aggression. So, during adolescence, the amygdala is highly active, which can lead to intense emotional experiences, while the prefrontal cortex is the decision making center. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for higher level thinking like planning, decision making, and emotional regulation. However, this part of the brain develops more slowly than the amygdala part. So, here's an interesting story. I would like to explain you more to the story about this. For example, there are two drivers. Okay, you can imagine two drivers in your teenager's brain. One driver is amygdala, and which is the emotional driver, and the prefrontal cortex is the second driver, which is the logical driver. So let's talk about amygdala, the emotional driver. So emotional driver is like a passionate and emotional driver who reacts quickly to situations. During adolescence, this driver is very active, which can lead to intense emotional experiences. And the second driver, that is a logical driver, that is the prefrontal cortex, is like a wise and experienced driver who thinks before acting. However, this driver is still learning and developing, which can lead to impulsive decisions. So, as a teenager navigates life, their brain is like a road trip with these two drivers. The amygdala might take the wheel and drive impulsively, and prefrontal cortex tries to navigate and provide direction. At the teenage stage, kids have a strong sense of right and wrong. If you challenge their perspective, they may resist. So instead, encourage them to consider different viewpoints. When they express violent behavior, explain how it affects them and how it gives them a chance to apologize. As a parent, we need to be their braking system, helping them navigate their emotions. As I told you, teenagers' brain are still developing, especially their prefrontal cortex, which governs decision making. So, this can lead to impulsive reactions and poor judgment. So, it's essential to discuss important decisions with a trusted adult. Now, what happens with male teenagers? During adolescence, males experience a surge in testosterone, which can cause them to distance themselves from their parents and assert their independence. This can create a conflict between them. In fact, within them, this creates a conflict within them, as they may feel torn between staying close to their mother and becoming independent. They want both the things. So, mothers should aim to help their sons develop healthy independence rather than clinging to them, which can hinder their ability to live independently. And the male hormone, testosterone, plays an important role in the development and maintenance of typical masculine physical characteristics such as muscle mass and strength and growth of facial and body hair. When your teenager argues with you, it's often a sign that they are struggling with something deeper. Just as you would soothe a tired toddler, you need to understand that your teenager is also going through significant emotional and physical changes, and they try to figure out their identity at this time. So, here are a few tips for you all. We can listen without interrupting, we can establish eye contact, and listen without judgment and without getting angry on them. We need to understand their perspective. We can use phrases like I hear what you're saying, okay, tell me more, okay, and we need to acknowledge their positive behavior. Like we need to focus on the good to encourage positive change. Don't blame. Instead, try to understand the root cause of the behavior instead of blaming them. For example, your teenager got bad grades. So, when dealing with poor grades, avoid scolding, which can lead to defensiveness. Instead, ask your teenager how they feel about their grades and what's going on exactly. So, this helps you understand the root cause and work together with them to find a solution. Teenagers change when they feel understood, not when they are told to change. By being patient, supportive, and understanding, you can help them navigate this challenging phase of life. As a parent, we can support our teenagers by encouraging open conversation with them, talking to our teenagers about their emotions and feelings, help them develop emotional awareness. Then we can provide a space to them. We can create a comfortable environment for our teenagers to express themselves, allowing them to feel heard and understood. Then we can teach them coping strategies that can help our teenagers develop healthy ways to manage their intense emotions, such as deep breathing, exercise, or mindfulness. So, by understanding the teenage brain and providing them support, we can help our teenager navigate the ups and downs of adolescence. With time, patience, and guidance, their prefrontal cortex will mature and they will become more confident and capable drivers of their own lives. I will explain teenagers' brain through some examples. For example, we'll talk about emotional reactivity. Imagine your teenager is driving home from school and someone cuts them off in traffic. They might react strongly, feeling angry and frustrated. This is because the amygdala is highly active, processing the emotional response. Then, why are they so impulsive? Let's say your teenager is at a party and their friends are convincing them to do something spontaneous, like going to a different party or taking some kind of a risk. So they might agree without thinking through the consequences. This is because the prefrontal cortex, another driver, is still developing inside the brain, making it harder to control their impulses. Okay, let's picture this. Your teenager is having a bad day and they come home feeling upset. They might lash out at you or their siblings. This is because the prefrontal cortex is again learning to regulate their emotions. You know, the main change in teenage years is that unused connections in the thinking and processing part of a child's brain, which is the gray part, that is pruned away. At the same time, other connections in the brain, that is the white matter. Okay, I'm not talking about the gray part, I'm talking about the white part, is strengthened. This is the brain's way of becoming more efficient based on use it or lose it principle. Okay, I'll tell you what is this pruning process. This pruning process begins in the back of a brain. I will explain you pruning in a very simple way, like how a brain works. It's very important to know as a parent. Our brain grows and makes a lot of connections, like building roads. For example, you build roads. So, same way, our brain is building many roads inside. This helps us learn and adapt easily. And as we get older, our brain cleans up by removing unnecessary connections, like it closes unused roads. So, this makes our brain work better and faster. So, what stays in our brain after pruning part? After pruning process, important emotional moments like happy or sad events, then things we practice often like playing a musical instrument, and often big life events like birthdays or our graduation, then skills we have learned like riding a bike or swimming, all these things remain inside our brain. So this is why pruning happens. Our brain wants to be efficient and help us learn and remember new things. It's like organizing our brain's filing system to keep what's important and get rid of what's not important. If not understood now, also, then I will explain with the help of another example. Imagine your brain is like a big library with millions of books. Okay, millions of books is the connections inside the brain. Okay, when you are little, the library gets a lot of new books. That means your brain makes a lot of connections to help you learn and grow. So, as you get older, some books might be duplicates or not very useful. So, the librarian, which is your brain, decides which books to keep and which ones to remove. Remove means pruning, it prunes. So, this helps the library run more smoothly and makes it easier to find the important books when you need them. So, our brain keeps important memories inside. So, your brain keeps the important memories and skills like riding a bike or remembering your family and gets rid of the ones you don't need. This helps us learn and remember new things better. That is why before pruning starts in a teenager's brain, so during puberty, it's crucial to expose our teenagers to positive influences that can shape their values and behaviors. Like we can encourage our teenager to explore their creative side and develop a love for learning. So before pruning starts, we can expose our teenager. So before pruning starts, we can expose our teenager to cultural experiences. For example, we can take them to museums, galleries, and we can divert their mind through different sports like swimming, rock climbing, team sports, anything. We can develop new hobbies, cooking, painting, playing a musical instrument. They can develop all these kind of hobbies before pruning. So this will help them develop their cognitive skills, emotional intelligence, and will support their overall brain development. Then we can model healthy emotional things inside them. For example, we can express their emotions in a healthy way. Example, I'm feeling frustrated right now. We can use such sentences. We can say, I can see why you would feel that way. I can understand you. We can ask a teenager to identify the emotions. Example, how are you feeling right now? We can label our own emotions and encourage a teenager to do the same by labeling our emotions, because sometimes they don't know how to label their emotions and other people's emotions. So we can develop their EQ, emotional quotient. Then what happens if parents don't help the teenager develop these skills before pruning process starts? I will explain this with a simple story. Okay, imagine a garden with many flowers and plants. Then the gardener, who is the parent, takes care of the garden, watering and nurturing the plants as they grow. So we have to nurture our teenagers' skills as they grow. The garden is full of life and the plants are growing strong. The gardener tends to each plant, making sure they receive the right amount of water and sunlight. Now, what happens at pruning time? As the gardener grows, some plants start to get pruned. That means brain starts developing. So, the gardener's role is very important, is crucial during this time. If the gardener has nurtured the plants well, they'll remain strong and healthy. But if the gardener hasn't taken good care of the plants, they will wither and struggle to survive. The plants might not grow as strong and some might even die. Similarly, if parents don't help the teenager develop essential skills before pruning process starts, they might struggle in life. They might have difficulty managing emotions, making decisions, and forming healthy relationships with others. So the message is clear. Just like the gardener, parents play a vital role in nurturing their teenagers' skills. By providing care and support, parents can help the teenager grow strong and resilient, ready to face life challenges. So instead of scolding, let's connect with our teens and help them understand their brain. When we know how their brain works, it is easier to guide them through adolescence. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Damini from Nurture Nest. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more parenting tips and insights. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell icon to stay updated on new content. Thank you.
I begin